Hi, welcome to Active Aging in Manitoba's how-to series on urban pole walking, also known as Nordic walking. Think of walking with poles like you were skiing, cross-country skiing. You may be interested to know that this activity started many decades ago with cross-country skiers in Finland who walked in the summer using their poles to keep fit during the off-season. The activity has increased in interest over the years, especially in Scandinavian countries and European countries, and is even more popular now in Canada. So my name is Jamie, and I'm very pleased to be sharing some information on Nordic walking with you. I'll talk about the benefits, the equipment that you're going to use, the technique, and some tips on how to get started. But before you start any new activities, it's advisable that you talk to your doctor or other healthcare provider to ensure this activity is right for you. Let's talk about the benefits. Okay, besides being a great outdoor activity, which we know is really good for our mental health and well-being, research shows that Nordic walking can provide additional benefits from the usual standard walking. So I'm going to talk about some of those benefits. Overall, just like cross-country skiing, you're engaging your entire body. You're using about 90% more of the muscles than with regular walking. When you're regular walking, you're basically using from the trunk down, so just the lower body are engaged in the activity. With Nordic walking, when you use the proper technique, you're engaging the shoulders and upper body and also engaging your core muscle groups. As a result, because you are using the entire body, you're going to have more cardiovascular benefits, you're going to use more energy, and actually you are burning more calories, 20 to 40% more when you're engaging that upper body movement during the walking activity. Now let's look at the top of the shoulder area. Often through our everyday life and as part of aging, we start to kind of go forward with using technology, computers, tablets and such, cooking, all our activities are done forward. When we're using Nordic walking poles, we're engaging our back muscles, our shoulder muscles, and they become stronger in the back, and then as a result we have better posture. And better posture makes us feel better about ourselves and gives us more confidence. As well, we often have a weaker side or a more dominant side and a less dominant side. When you're engaging both shoulders in the movement, you're going to help strengthen and have more balance between the shoulders. As well, when we're using the poles and applying pressure, we're going to engage the core muscles. And the core muscles really provide stability for our entire body. The next thing is that it also provides stability and support. So it's making more contact. Rather with regular walking, you only have the 2 feet making contact. With the poles, you now have 4 pieces, things making contact with the ground. Think of a dog. It's distributing its weight amongst the 4 limbs. It's similar with the poles, is that we're now going to allow some of that stress on the body to be distributed evenly. So when you're using the poles, they're adding some balance and stability, but we're also taking the pressure off our ankles, our knees, our hips, and our lower back. Okay, let's talk about the equipment now. Besides having a good pair of quality walking shoes, the poles are the most important part of the equipment that you need. So I'm going to take you through and demonstrate the use of the poles and how to get them set up. First of all, you'll notice on the top of the poles, they'll tell you if it's a right hand or a left hand. So you want to ensure that you have the handles in the appropriate hands. And these are really nice handles here. They allow for a nice easy grip. So you don't want to hold on too tight or too loose. Just they're nice and wide, nice and thick. So you're able to put your hand around there just nicely and you just tuck your thumb around. Then the next piece is called the ledge, and this is really where the power and the workout is coming from, is that ledge. So as we're walking, and we'll be demonstrating this later when we go through the technique, but your hand is going to put pressure on this ledge as you're walking, and that's what's going to create the workout. It's really important that you do have proper poles. Hiking poles are not made for urban pole walking. So you want to ensure that you have proper poles that are built for the maximizing the energy as well as for safety. So hiking poles are almost doing the opposite. They're to minimize the energy expenditure and also they're just for a little bit of stability. And often the hiking poles are used in front. And as we'll be demonstrating, the urban poles will be used in the back. Okay, and another thing about the ledge area, these particular poles that I'm using are from Urban Poling, which were created in Canada. And I really like these poles because they have a ledge that if you happen to have a mishap where you trip or slip, your hands can easily release from the pole. Some of the other poles out there will have a strap or a glove. So if you happen to have that mishap, and hopefully that doesn't happen, it's easily for you to fall with the whole device in your hand, and often people will have problems hurting their thumbs. So we want to avoid that. So that's just one bonus of these particular types of poles. You can contact Active Aging in Manitoba to get more information of how you can access these poles. Okay, so that's the handle, so nice, easy holding on to, and then the ledge is where your workout is coming from. The next thing then, you want to move down the pole. You want to figure out how high, how should my poles be, or how long should my poles be. So you want to take a look, and I'll just put one down here, and you'll notice on the pole, so you want to have one hand on top and one hand on the lower portion. And you'll notice there's an unlock and a lock arrows that show you which direction that you need to turn the pole. So I'm going to put it towards me because that's going to unlock, and you'll see that it can move along. So the standard practice is, if you're just starting out with urban poling, is to start your pole length 2 inches below your height. So I'm 5'6", so I'm going to put my pole at 5'4". And then I'm going to turn it the opposite way, and again, just following the instructions, maybe 2, 3, 4 times you're going to twist. You don't want to twist it too much, too tightly, and put more pressure on it. You also don't want to touch this black piece here because this is helping with the vibrations, absorbing some of the vibrations. So you don't want to touch that. You don't want to use any tools, and you don't want to use any kind of oils and things like that to work with it. So, and you'll also notice at the top as you pull, so if you were a taller person, at the top there'll be a stop sign, a maximum sign. So again, you don't want to pull it out further than that, and thus you could damage the pole. So just watch for the maximum and the stop sign, and then just watch that you're not playing around, twisting or turning or pulling on that piece here. So I'm going to lock this back in place, and my pole should be ready to go. So again, just about 2 inches, and as you get more accustomed to your walking and more comfortable with walking, then you can start to gradually increase it to, again, what your height would be. The next piece of the pole is the bottom part, and you'll see there's a couple of different things to keep in mind. This particular is wearing a boot, and this is for use on hard surfaces like cement, asphalt, so harder, again, to absorb the shock, as well as giving you some traction on that particular surface. So you want to make sure that your boots are pointing so that the toe of the boot is pointing backwards. So it's going in the opposite. If my toe's going forward, the toe of the boot is going the other direction with the handle. So the toes are pointing backwards. Okay, so those are for the harder surfaces, cement and asphalt. And then if I happen to be on a grassy field or a muddy road, trail or something like that, I can just slip off the boots, and then I have a carbide tip, and that's good for softer surfaces like, as I said, grass, dirt, snow, those types of things. And then just going back to putting the boot on, and remember every time, because as you're adjusting your poles, you may be adjusting, maybe you adjusted them down because you want to store them, or you're going on vacation and you want to slip them in your suitcase. Comes right down to a small size, so very storable, but it's easy for the boot to get then twisted around. So always make sure, check your boots, are they pointing backwards before you start every time. So going back again to our size. So again, you want to check the treads on the boot regularly because they get worn. It depends if you're dragging it or you're pushing and planting with it. So it will start to wear and tear, and then you're not going to have the absorption and the traction that you need. So you might want to replace them every 6 to 12 months, but again, that will depend on how often you're using them during your workouts. You can also purchase pieces to go on the bottom. So as I said, you can't use hiking poles to do urban pole walking, but you can use, these poles can be very versatile for other activities. So you could use them with snowshoeing or going hiking, trekking. You can purchase other baskets to go if you're going to walk in snow. If it was deep snow and you want to just not be going down so deep in the snow, you can purchase. And again, Active Aging in Manitoba has those attachments and extra boots that you could purchase to go along with your equipment. So this is your equipment, so very important piece of the activity. Again, just to reinforce again, your hands will be on the ledges, and that's where the workout is coming from. Make sure that they're at the appropriate height for you. Nice easy grip, nice tall posture, and make sure that your boots are pointing backwards. And the boots are used on the harder surfaces, cement, which is probably, you know, most people are walking on some kind of cement or concrete movements. So that's the equipment. Next we'll move on to some tips on how to utilize the pole in a proper, so that you're maximizing the effort. Okay, now that we've learned how to set up the poles, we're ready to go to talk a little bit about the technique. So I'm just going to give you some tips before we actually demonstrate how to use the poles. So you want to think tall posture. So again, shoulders are back, head looking forward, tummy tucked in, so just pulling your belly button in just a little bit. Now your hands are going to move forward just like regular walking, but your hands aren't going way up to the sky. You want to think of a handshake. So if you were to greet someone and shake their hand, that's about the height that you want your pole coming up to. As you return your arm back, you want your thumb just to graze the side of your hip. Okay, so thumbs at side, and you're going to do a handshake forward, and then the thumbs just coming back and brushing against your side. You won't see the boot tips, right? If I'm seeing the boot tips in front, then I'm bringing my arms too forward. Okay, you want to think of your arms as you're doing that handshake of being like a pendulum. See how nice and long my arms are? Like a pendulum. My arms are not moving like a choo-choo. Okay, and again, sometimes I see this when I'm out walking. People are walking along and they've got their choo-choo arms. That's not what urban poling is, and you're not really getting the benefit of the activity. The benefit comes from keeping your arms long and putting pressure on the ledge. Okay, so my arms will swing and come down and up. So a handshake forward, brush your thigh, handshake forward, brush your thigh. Okay, so as we start, and when you're starting out, maybe start with just a regular stride, and as you start going, then you can increase your stride, because as you increase your stride, then your arms will want to increase in the movement. And again, that's where the power and the energy is going to come from, that upper body involvement. So when you're starting out, you want to start out slow. So you're starting, if you're regular walking, as I mentioned earlier, is really only using your lower body. Your upper body hasn't been engaged. So now you're all of a sudden engaging your core, engaging the upper back, the back of the arms, the shoulder, middle back. Now you're going to feel it. So you don't want to start out and then the next day, oh boy, I overdid it, I don't want to ever do that again. So start off slow. So if you normally walk for 60 minutes, maybe cut it back to 45 or 30 minutes. Go how you feel. Don't start off too hard and too fast. Learn the technique. And it will take you a little while, but don't get frustrated. Don't overthink it. It is simple once you kind of get doing it more regularly. You want to check your form because it is a new activity. Check your form. But with, like any other skill that you learn, like swimming or basketball, tennis, it's the same skills, right? You learn those same skills, and if it's a more accomplished athlete, they're just putting more into it. It's the same thing with Nordic walking. You're using the same technique, so you're using the pendulum arms, you're pushing and planting off the ground with your poles, but you may be doing it faster, or you may be pushing down harder. So the exertion that you're putting on it makes it more intense. If you don't feel like being as intense, then just don't put as much pressure on and don't plant as hard with the pole. So something else you want to also think is, you want to plant the pole, you want to push with the pole and propel yourself forward. So plant, push, and propel. So that's something that you might want to continually remind yourself as you're walking. And don't try to remember everything at all at once. Maybe you're just going to start, oh, am I keeping my arms at the pendulum, at the handshake? So start and do little pieces and focus on those, and then continue on with your walk. It's also important that if you're out with a group and doing the Nordic poling, it's very easy to forget your technique because you're so engaged with your conversation. So again, just take breaks, check, am I doing it in the proper form? Because it is very easy to all of a sudden you're into that choo-choo arms again and not really getting the full effect of the workout. So now we're going to demonstrate actually how to get going with your poles. Okay, we're going to break down the technique by just starting with a normal walk. So shoulders are back and relaxed, tummy's pulled in, so pull in that belly button just slightly and make sure you're just looking forward. So let's just walk opposite arm to opposite leg. Just nice and easy, just noticing how you're keeping nice tall posture, just arms slightly beside you. And now we're going to grab the poles. And we're going to just pretend that we're dragging. Just pretend that the poles aren't even there, doing that similar walk that we just did. And nice and tall, tummy tucked in, arms just slightly beside us, and drag the poles like they aren't there. Now we're going to add those pendulum arms. Remember, long, right from the shoulder, keeping that nice tall posture. Arms coming back towards your thighs, thumbs touching the thighs. Nice and long. Pendulum arms. Again, no choo-choo arms, no bent arms. We want the movement coming from the shoulder, engaging the back muscles, engaging those core muscles. Okay, we're going to go a little bit further now and get more into the technique by pushing down on the pole. So push, push. Push on that ledge. Nice and tall. Push down. Push down. Push down. Push down. Push down. Nice and tall. Press down. Press down. Press down. Press down. Press down. Nice and tall. Notice that the boots aren't coming forward. They're always staying behind me. Push down. Push down. Push down. Push down, push down, push down. And now we're going to add on a little bit of a lift with the pole. So you can lift it out and push down, push down, push down, push. As I said, plant, push, and propel. Plant, push, and propel. So as you lengthen your stride, it'll allow you to move your arms forward in that handshake position. Push, push, push. You almost want to think that you're lifting it a little bit off the ground like you're going to squish a bug. So you're going to squish the bug and push. Push, 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 push. Pressure on that ledge. Push, 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 push. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what you need to do. You want to have a nice tall posture. You want to have pendulum arms. Keep that movement, pressure onto the ledge, keeping nice and tall and tight abdominals, and plant that pole down, push on the ledge, and propel yourself forward. And that's basically the technique for urban pole walking. Hopefully that gives you a good idea about urban poling and how to get started. It's a fun activity, whether you're starting out new or wanting to add variety to your already exercise routine. So get out there and have some fun.